Today we're going to have a look at a couple of ways that we can simplify surds. To begin with, let's consider the following surd, the square root of 28. One way that we can look to simplify surds is to look at the number 28 and see whether we can divide it by a perfect square. A perfect square being things like 1, 4, 9, 25, 36, 100, those perfect squares that exist. In this case, we can actually divide 28 by 4. And when we do that, it's going to divide into 28 7 times. So we can rewrite this as the square root of 4 times 7. Now, when we've got the square root of two numbers multiplied together, we can rewrite this as the square root of 4 multiplied by the square root of 7 and break this problem into two parts. The first part we can actually solve with a simple number. The square root of 4 is equal to 2. And that's going to be multiplied by the square root of 7, which will be an irrational number. So we're going to leave it in surd form. Now, to rewrite this, 2 times the square root of 7, we rewrite it as 2 root 7, like this. And now we've got the square root of 28 in what we call simplest form. So let's try doing it again. Let's try with the square root of 98. Now, the first thing we do is we look at the square root of 98, or the number of 98, and go, is there a perfect square that divides perfectly into 98? In this case, 7 squared does, or 49. So we can rewrite this as the square root of 49, and it goes into 98 perfectly twice, so 49 times 2. But we can break this problem up even further. So this is the square root of 49 multiplied by the square root of 2. Now, the square root of 49 we know to be 7, and that will still multiply the square root of 2, which doesn't go perfectly. It's going to be an irrational number again. So we rewrite this as 7 root 2. So in simplest form, the square root of 98 can be written as 7 root 2. Now, there's another type of surd that we can simplify. What if we had the square root of 2 on 4? When we've got the square root of 2 on 4, or a number like this, we can rewrite this as it being equal to the square root of 2 all divided by the square root of 4. Now, the square root of 2 is going to be an irrational number. We can't simplify that. However, the square root of 4 is 2. So we can rewrite this as the square root of 2 divided by 2, or in fractional form, root 2 on 2. Let's try it again. What if we had the square root of a third? Well, we can break this problem up to be equal to the square root of 1 divided by the square root of 3. Now, the square root of 3 is going to be an irrational number, so the bottom part of this fraction stays as root 3. However, the square root of 1 is 1. So this is equal to, in simplest form, 1 on root 3. Now, it is important as we move through algebra that we always look to simplify our surds whenever we can. The first method being looking for a perfect square that divides into what's in our surd, and if it does, we divide that into it and break up the problem. The second way is if we've got a fraction inside of our surd, that's the same as the surd being on top of the fraction and then dividing by the surd being on the bottom of the fraction.